we are again making an urgent appeal for humanitarian assistance to be given to some stranded migrants that are here in Barbados and throughout the region, really. Our Caribbean Anti-Human Trafficking Project has been providing humanitarian assistance to a category of stranded migrants. These include persons who might have been here on holiday and got stuck because of closed borders, persons who were here on work permits, the business now closed, they do not benefit from unemployment benefits. There are some suspected victims of human trafficking, but not all human trafficking victims are sex workers. Some include persons who might work in agriculture, construction, and in homes. We have persons who might have been who are married to Barbadians, but their immigration status has not been completed for one reason or the other, and therefore they cannot benefit from Social Security. Additionally, we have many persons who've lived in Barbados for many years, but have never regularized their status. These persons cannot benefit from unemployment or from pensions. And so this vulnerable community needs attention because of the COVID pandemic. If the most vulnerable among us are not provided with assistance, it means that we cannot address the issue of dealing with the pandemic and reducing it as quickly and in the numbers we would like to do in Barbados. And so it is important for the local population as well that we try to contain the vulnerability of these persons. I wish to thank government for the pledged support given so far, and to thank Minister Hinkson. And when we reached out to him, very promptly stated in public that all migrants are welcome to access the health service without fear of penalty. And we have been urging those who don't feel well to come forward. The main things that are needed right now are food items, including baby food, baby supplies, and there are some persons who are in need of basic medications, but there's no money for them to have the medication, and we want to be able to get medication out to them. And so we are requesting food items, mainly dry goods items. We are vouchers, if you can give vouchers, cash donations, it doesn't matter as long as we get the help to these persons who need it the most at this time. We've been able to assist 60 families thus far, and most of these families have a number two persons in them. But we are coming across situations where there are women with 4 and 5 children, and most of them are very little children in between age 6 to 1 month old. We have been providing them with the milk and other supplies that were donated by the Sandy Lane Trust. But we're running out of resources now because the numbers keep growing every day. We have been in touch with the Guyana Consulate and the International Organization on Migration with respect to the matter. And we've reached out to UE and some students at the university to see how they are doing. The thing is that all of these persons do need assistance, and giving them one bag of food is not sufficient because we don't know when borders will reopen, and so a mechanism needs to be put in place. The unfortunate thing here is government is overstretched with their resources trying to deal with the local population. And so what we are hoping to do is to take some of that burden off of government and try to deal with the non-national community. So we are also asking that the non-national communities, the Jamaican community, the Guyana community, from which most of the persons are from, to please come forward and help those in your community that are less well off than you. There's only so much a government can do at this moment in time under such an unplanned scenario. With respect to the suspected cases of human trafficking that we've come across since being out in the field, and the subsequent response for persons, uh, government or otherwise, human trafficking is a crime against humanity and cannot be measured as being major or minor. It is something we need to put systems in place, given that we've signed on to a number of international agreements with respect to the transnational crime. The crime involves sending, transit, and receiving states. And what we are seeing, the majority are women that are coming from countries throughout the region, and they are moving throughout countries in the region to undertake in sex work and other activities. There are persons who are trafficked that are laborers who work in construction, agriculture, persons who are domestic workers. All of these persons need attention, but we need to put systems in place of how we're going to manage the crime, how we're going to manage the victims of the crime, how we're going to manage information in a confidential manner that does not harm persons who are willing to cooperate and give you information. And it's very difficult until that is done to expect people will come forward and give information to the authorities, because it is serious enough that if a suspected victim decides to cooperate with you and you expose their information, you're putting that person's family back home to get killed or their child to be kidnapped. So we have to think thoroughly about what we are going to do to safely secure persons who are willing to talk to us, try to address the crime. We are also seeing, I don't know if it's the Stockholm syndrome that's happening, that a lot of the girls are willingly engaging and they're actually angry at authorities when they are caught for stopping them from making money. But when you talk to these girls further, you recognize these girls are actually suffering from trauma. And so we again then need to work with the social services to put systems in place where the Bureau of Gender Affairs, for example, can work with trauma women. So there's a lot that we need to do. Reaching out to the international agencies like UNHCR, IOM, and those agencies will be useful for government in terms of getting dialogue and looking at what mechanisms can be put in place with the assistance of the international agencies to stem what is a transnational crime.